Hello there. Welcome to Tech Trends with me, Olayemi Oshidende. On the program this week, EdTech stakeholders at the National Consultative Working Group Roundtable raised concerns over the increasing reliance on technology in learning spaces. Also on the program, young innovators develop robotic solutions for climate-related disasters at the Robotics for Good Youth Challenge. And then later, Yomi Oweye, Senior Manager Market Development at MTN Nigeria, will talk about how tech can empower Nigerian businesses to scale and compete in the digital economy. But as always, this is a program that takes you into the world of tech, innovation, and creativity, all through an African lens. Do stay with us. Artificial intelligence is one of 50 things that Watson does. There is also machine learning, text-to-speech, speech-to-text, and different analytical engines. They're like little Lego bricks. You can put intelligence in any product or any process you have. As technology, especially artificial intelligence, continues to influence education, there's an ongoing conversation about balancing innovation with the human touch. While digital tools offer new ways to enhance learning, there's a growing need to ensure that technology empowers students rather than diminishing their autonomy. This was the focus of a roundtable discussion on EdTech in Nigeria, where stakeholders explored how to leverage digital tools in a way that supports rather than replace human-centered learning experiences. It's a conversation on harmonizing human interaction and technology while bridging the digital divide for inclusive education. As reliance on digital learning tools and AI grows, there is a pressing concern about ensuring that these advancements enhance and not compromise human learning experiences. But how can digital tools be leveraged in a way that supports rather than override human interaction in education? And how do we find a balance between digital innovation and human control? These are some of the critical issues addressed at this roundtable of stakeholders organized by the National Consultative Working Group on EdTech. The discussion kicks off with an overview of the challenges and opportunities arising from the digitalization of education, with Lagos as a focal point.
We have continuously pushed ourselves to incorporate educational technology into the teaching and learning of technical and vocational education. We have introduced interactive boards to improve learning experience. We have acquired additional computers to support digital literacy among the students. All our students are now required, at least compulsory, to take ICT classes. All our teachers are receiving teaching training on using ICT to enhance content and utilize tools such as Google Classroom, Kahoot, Canva, etc. For us, providers of technical education, we cannot remain passive while the world evolves. Our students must gain a competitive advantage through ICT and integration of education technology into teaching and learning. As we embrace these education technology, it is important to also address the challenges that come with them. We need to seek realistic and sustainable solutions that will ensure our learners carefully benefit from these technologies.
A panel session further explores the theme of the conference, with experts highlighting key concerns such as the digital divide, which limits access for millions of Nigerian students, especially in rural areas, the importance of maintaining human interaction at the heart of the educational experience, the need for a robust regulatory framework to support EdTech adoption, as well as the continuous training and capacity building required for teachers.
The big divide still comes from the fact that there's still need for the government to pay more attention or give the priority needed to education. There's a saying that no country can develop beyond its level of education. And so that's where the challenge, first comes in. These days we have interactive tables. I can assure you that you can still get to schools where students can't even identify an interactive table. It's different from an interactive board. And we have different realities that's coming up in technology. For example, we have augmented reality. Now, how many of our students can say they can interact? Some of them use them, but we really do not know those concepts. So I think we need to start from putting structures in place.
The truth is, education is a major barrier because inside education there is ignorance. You don't know, you don't see the need for it. As a matter of fact, we are making progress, I know, in Nigeria, and Lagos State is at the forefront. But when you also look at, the percentage of where we are as a country and where we should be, we know that we have a lot to do. So education, and it doesn't have to be, formal education. It doesn't have to be in the classroom. This is a technical school, even in sewing school, because again, from what she said, we are moving, or we are in a time and season that every part of our world has an infusion of technology.
Breakout sessions dive deeper, offering tech educators and innovators a space to share insights into the state of EdTech in Nigeria.
The conversation about EdTech has been for over the last decade, right, in Nigeria, and it's good to see, funding organizations prioritizing EdTech in Nigeria. So when you're talking about participation, that's a win. But the major challenge that we are actually having, which is why I highlighted, is the fact that EdTech, should we call them EdTech organizations, need to prioritize digital accessibility, because the main idea behind EdTech is to close that gap. So if you're going to close the gap, we cannot close that gap and at the same time leave a group of people, to the side. So we have to make sure that we prioritize digital accessibility when it comes to building EdTech platforms.
One thing we should understand is this: especially kids in disadvantaged communities, if we leave them out of this space, one day they will become a challenge to the society. But if you provide them with the appropriate technology and they understand it at their own level, we will build a better Nigeria. There's nothing too small, no matter what. Even if it's just a computer you are providing in a community, it can go a long way. So let's start small and let's build a better society. But let's not forget, let's ensure that people can still use their brain. AI is supposed to be a guide. Your brain is supposed to build it to become better. But people don't even do anything again. They just rely on whatever they get, garbage in, garbage out. And that's why we also have a lot of challenges around us.
Ultimately, the synergy between human interaction and technology will shape the future of education in Nigeria, making learning more inclusive and accessible for all. And as the country continues to navigate the complexities of integrating tech into education, this roundtable serves as a pivotal step toward ensuring that every student, regardless of socioeconomic status, can thrive in a digital learning environment. Young innovators have developed robotic solutions for climate-related disasters, showcasing their skills at the Robotics for Good Youth Challenge. The initiative is part of a global program by the International Telecommunication Union, ITU, a United Nations agency focused on digital technology. Here's more. Young innovators arriving for the Robotics for Good Youth Challenge Nigeria 2025. Taking on this year's theme, disaster response, the participants designed robotic systems that aid real-world emergencies. From rescuing victims of natural disasters to tackling environmental pollution. Launched by the International Telecommunication Union, a United Nations agency focused on information and communication technologies, the initiative aims to promote robotics and coding among youth worldwide, ensuring that no one is left behind in the robotics and AI revolution.
This event is more than just a competition. It is a platform where creative meets technology to solve real-life challenges. As we witness the incredible talents of young minds from all over the country, let us remember that robotics and artificial intelligence are shaping the future. And today, we are not just building robots. We are building solutions to solve present problems, like climate change, which is a pressing problem all across the globe. Empowering young people and inspiring the next generation of innovators.
Competing in two categories, junior for ages 9 to 12 and senior for ages 14 to 16, these young innovators showcase a range of projects, including disaster response robots and recycling solutions.
Robotics and technology has actually increased my understanding of the happenings and the phenomena that happens around me in my life. We've designed our robots to help victims of natural disasters, and also the displaced victims, we get them adequate medical care and attention. So being a humanitarian, as I intend to be a medical doctor in future, this is one of the steps in taking in order to build that future. As you can see on the board, our robot is using an attachment that grabs each and every one of the blocks. The red blocks signify the injured and the green blocks signify the displaced ones. So we'll be taking them one by one, grabbing the green ones and taking them to the refugee camp, and taking the red ones from the middle of the depleted building to the hospital arena.
I was walking one day to school and I saw trash all over the ground. So I was like, why don't I make a recycling game? That was the exact day that my mom told me about the project. So I started working on it. Because I've noticed that many people are polluting the earth with garbage. So I'm making this project to help the world become a better place for us. Remember this: save the city, save the world, you'll save yourself.
Our task was to create a robot that could rescue natural disaster victims from the scene. So we made a robot. We have red blocks and green blocks. The red blocks are for the ones that need immediate attention, the ones that are injured, and then the green blocks are the ones that are okay. So there's a refugee camp and there's a hospital. So the green ones are to go to the hospital, and the red ones are to go to the hospital, and the green ones to the refugee camp. So the robot is supposed to take the red ones to the hospital within 2 minutes. So we had two robots, one to do the green and one to do the red.
This project is to help children of my age to be mentally alert, and also for them to also be creative.
Each year, this leading UN-based robotics championship is driven by a global challenge, encouraging participants to develop practical solutions that align with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals.
AI is a buzz topic, as it were, and that is a key area of emerging technologies that we're focusing on. So we're helping to coordinate a number of aspects, including the judging, because the National Center for Artificial Intelligence and Robotics is actually under the ministry, under the agency. And we're here as well to support them in terms of logistics, in terms of making sure that this works, because we believe that, if we can identify the right people at a young age, then we can have the success that we want in the future.
The winners of the competition will earn the opportunity to represent Nigeria on the global stage at the AI for Good Global Summit 2025 in Geneva, Switzerland, where they will showcase their innovations alongside their peers from around the world. Nigeria's digital landscape is evolving rapidly, creating new opportunities for businesses of all sizes. However, micro, small and medium enterprises, which make up a significant portion of the economy, still face major challenges in adopting digital tools. Yet, with the right support, digital transformation can unlock growth, efficiency and financial inclusion for these enterprises. In this conversation with Yomi Oweye, Senior Manager Market Development at MTN Nigeria, we talk about how tech can empower Nigerian businesses to scale and compete in a digital-first economy. Now, Nigeria's digital economy is expanding, but many MSMEs still struggle to fully adopt digital tools. Now, you are quite passionate about leveraging tech to enhance business growth. So what do you see as the key barriers holding MSMEs back? And more importantly, how do we bridge this gap to ensure more businesses benefit from digital transformation?
Okay, so we've identified that in the MSME environment, that cost is also very essential for the business owners. So in adopting digital tools, digital platforms, we see that cost is also one of the main barriers to it, because many of the tools that are available are tools that are produced or manufactured in terms of the global environment. So you see tech giants producing some of these productivity tools or some of these digital tools for the MSMEs to use. And you also understand that's the challenge that we have in our environment in terms of the forex environment of the impacts there. So many of these tools are bought in USD, and then many of our SMEs are finding it difficult to be able to assess them. So costs is a major one for the MSMEs. I think another thing also in terms of is also digital literacy and awareness. Many of them, when you also look at our environment, in terms of our entrepreneurial trajectory, you'll see that we are more traditional than digital. So that traditional conservative way of doing business has also impacted us. So many of the owners, many of the MSMEs players are not digitally literate, they're not digitally aware, and then we have in terms of skills, digital skills, level of maturity and literacy is low. Another challenge also is the regulatory framework. Our environment also has not also been able to provide, to be able to enable the MSMEs to be able to adopt digital tools. You'll see that in India, maybe about 90% of the MSMEs in India have been able to adopt digital tools, and it's just because of the conscious push, push by the government of India to be able to make sure that that all MSMEs are digitized, and they have the roadmap, they have the plan, and they created the necessary regulatory framework to be able to do that. So these are some of the issues that are there for the MSMEs that also impacted them, also in taking to be able to adopt digital platform.
One area where we've seen significant growth is fintech, and of course in the area of digital payments. As more businesses and consumers embrace cashless transactions, how do you think telecom companies can play a bigger role in driving financial inclusion, especially for the MSMEs?
Okay, so I would say that not sounding to be biased, but I would say that kudos to the telecoms provider because for them to have about the time that they consciously came into the digital, the fintech environment, I've seen tremendous growth, and also kudos also to Central Bank of Nigeria that have also provided that support to the environment to be able to allow for this growth. We'll see that yes, our banking or digital or fintech environment have been seeing some growth over the years, but we have seen very unprecedented one with the entrance of the digital telecoms players. The telecom guys, the telecom providers, they have the trust of the people, they have the goodwill working for them. They have the coverage almost everywhere, almost everybody owns a phone. So that is, they also have the structure to be able to also enable and to strengthen the penetration and the adoption of fintech and digital and payments. And we have seen that play out. And I think that's also additional investment also for them. Also, the fact that they have the foundation, it's just the fact that they have the foundation, it just puts some building blocks on it. And we are seeing that investment coming in from the telecoms player. We are seeing heavy investment. We're also seeing education. Also, like I mentioned earlier, in terms of that gap of awareness and literacy. And you are seeing them investing so much in building that. I think with that, we're on the right trajectory. Many of the announcements that I've seen also from this from the telecoms provider is that they will be investing more in the digital and fintech space.
Of course, access to these digital solutions, is one thing, but affordability is another major challenge. Now, many small businesses are eager to adopt tech, but some of them are held back by cost concerns. What are some cost-effective ways these businesses can leverage technology to scale without necessarily breaking the bank?
Okay, so I want to lay a foundation here, standpoint that cost is relative. We'll also be looking at it from value perspective. Once we are able to establish the value that the MSMEs are going to be getting from adopting digital tools, initial investment could be seen to be high, but the medium, even the short term, medium term, and even the long term, we'll see that the MSMEs are going to be the one to be in for, to be able to reap the benefits. For me, we have tools. We have even have a way to. One of the things I recommend to MSME: start small. Don't look at the big thing as in terms of what the large enterprises are doing in terms of heavy investment, but start small. There are some free tools that are available. You can even start with that in terms of learning. Also, let's also begin to adopt the local tools.
Now, we talked about the role of telecom companies, in driving financial inclusion. But beyond that internet connectivity, what other digital tools do you think are absolute game changers for Nigerian businesses looking to compete in a global economy?
So there are tools that are free, the basic ones. Digitization does not necessarily mean that you need to change something drastically. It's just moving from the way you do something manual, the way you are doing operations manual, and now begin to go into automating it. So for me, for a starter, I say look at 3 areas, MSMEs that you need to also begin to look at digitizing. Number 1, look at digitizing your operations, the things that you do, your normal business operations. Begin to look at tools that will also help you in terms of automating that operations. Number 2, you digitize also your presence. You also need to make sure that your brick and mortar, having a local store, having an office or thereabout, does not make you a global player. Digital presence, have websites. Today, they are very, you don't need to also employ the services of a tech group to be able to have websites. There are AI supported website builders that you can, as an entrepreneur, at whatever level that you are, to be able to build a website for yourself as a way of starting. So organizations, telecoms organizations today are providing that to the MSMEs. Other players also are providing that to the SMEs. It's something that the SMEs can also adopt. The third element for me is digital payments. So digitize your payments, move away from the fact that the bank, customers have to be paying you, sending scanning Stella to you, sending Stella evidence of payment. Digitize the banking system such that even when you are asleep, your business is open and payments and business is happening, payments are happening. So for me, those 3 areas, when the MSMEs consider those 3 areas as very critical for them in terms of digitizing the activities around those 3 areas, I think it's a starting point.
Thank you so much, Yomi Oweye, Senior Manager Market Development at MTN Nigeria. It's been great having you on the program.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure. Thank you.
And here's where we draw the curtain on the program this week. Thank you for watching. Remember, you can relive this and past editions of the program on the Channels TV YouTube page. And I encourage you to watch, share, and like your favorite episodes. As always, I leave you with this. Technology is not just about the future, it's about the here and now. And Africans are innovating to create impactful solutions for the continent. For Tech Trends, I'm Olayemi Oshidende. I'll see you next time.